Whose car is touching whose?
Oh, terrific. A woman driver with a woman's logic.
And a man with shit for brains. Tell me, were you starved of oxygen at birth?
Who was your driving instructor, Stevie Wonder?
This was one that, for me, at the time, personified why I preferred British drama over American. It had humour, and it dealt with real things in a way that I think the British do far better, with a sense of humanity and a sense of humour that the Americans probably still don't quite balance out in their dramas. And Cold Feet is the other one that I talked about that gives me goosebumps. Again, it dates it, but when you see Helen Baxendale fumbling around for that cassette tape, and you know what's coming, it really sends shivers down you, because of course she died in the penultimate episode of the 5th series. I saw Cracker in the Lakes multiple times. I must have seen this multiple times as well, because it was a very easy watch and you sort of grew up with the characters. I think for me the star ended up being Hermione Norris, because she went through such an up and down roller coaster in the relationship with David, and in her character, who went from somebody who was this prim and proper mother of 3, and then became an alcoholic, then was divorced, then got back with her husband, then was an alcoholic again, and she just felt really genuine. James Nesbitt I've always liked since then. I think he's perhaps a little overexposed, or was pre-this. John Thompson, I don't know, I'd have to re-watch it again to get my head around whether I like John Thompson. Favourite play I didn't really like. Robert Bathurst was brilliant, because there was more to that character than people perhaps gave him credit for. It just personified why I like English drama, because these people to me weren't characters on a TV drama. These were real people who you could relate to. They were people who behaved the way you'd expect people to behave, and none of it felt really, dramatised so much. I think to an extent we're still good at that. I mean, Happy Valley is an example of that, I think. But I think we're going in for the bigger, more concept dramas now, and we perhaps lost that a tiny bit. Like, I'm not a massive fan of romantic dramas per se, but I do like dramas that are led and based in humanity.
I think you asked us the same about our shows. Are you worried about it coming back?
Much like you with Twin Peaks, I just hope I don't look back on it and go, I really liked it, but I wish they hadn't done that reboot. I hope, Gary, you would watch the first one of this new series that's coming up in September, just to get a flavour of it. Just to get a flavour.
No.
Why do you say not a chance?
I absolutely hated this programme when it was out.
Do you remember why?
It was boring. It was a soap opera, as far as I was concerned. It was a soap opera, as far as I was concerned. Nothing happened. I didn't like the characters. I did not identify with any of them. I didn't like it at all. You will not be able to send me enough money to make me watch this programme. Sorry, it's one of my bugbears.
The episode that I remember, the one where he found out he had testicular cancer, James Nesbitt, and got the taxi ride with Ricky Tomlinson. I thought that entire storyline with the testicular cancer was very well handled.
And I remember showing this to one of my sister's American boyfriends at the time, and because he said to me, how come you never... He said it in an American accent, but you're going to have to forgive me for not doing that. How come you never watch any of our stuff? How come I always come in here and you've got some... I forget what he called it, but some hoity-toity... No, some hoity-toity English drama on. And I said, well, just watch a couple of these, I'll sit with you and explain anything that's perhaps a little bit, UK slang that you might not get. And he ended up watching...
Anglophile.
The whole thing, and was so distraught when Helen Baxendale was killed that even to this day he can't watch the episodes of Friends where she turns up. Because he's
pretty bad in those episodes, to be fair.
Because it completely blew his mind that anyone would think to kill off a major character in such a brutal yet normal way, and really affected him, and I think it changed his perception as well.
As I say, we said about the Gilmore Girls, it was what they call sort of low-stakes drama, wasn't it?
Yeah, perhaps.
I mean, more happened in this, I would say. It was about the development of the three relationships, and I think if you don't like drama about relationships, then you're not going to gel with Cold Feet.
The box sets to binge on our desert island.
In one amazing collection.
These are Luke's Desert Island dramas.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Make sure you subscribe on iTunes for the latest episodes of the Custard TV podcast.
The next one is one I don't think either of you have seen, but it's one that's always stuck with me again. It's from 2004, and this I didn't get on VHS because the person then didn't realise, this 70-year-old lady didn't realise she had BBC Three, which is where it aired.
Well, I know what it is. I know what it is.
It's the first show on the list from Jed Mercurio. You can guess what the other one is. This was a medical drama called Bodies. Bodies blew my mind. As a family, we've always liked medical documentaries, you know, Great Ormond Street, 24 Hours in A&E, even the lighter stuff like Children's Hospital in the 90s. But I'd never seen anything on telly, medical-wise, that replicated that, you know, that wasn't Casualty, where people were, you know, doing all sorts of silly things, falling off ladders into toasters and then on, you know, into a canal.
Falling off ladders into toasters.
And then hammering nails into their hands.
Looking back on it now, there are real connections between it and Line of Duty, because it's not so much about the medical cases. It was about the sniping within the NHS and the inner colleague. So Max Beasley, who is the lead in the show, is brought on as a registrar to top surgeon, played by Patrick Ballady. He was sort of second in command to Patrick Ballady's character.
Dr. Roger Hurley.
Dr. Roger Hurley, who was, you know, poster boy for the hospital. He was a really well-spoken, eloquent doctor, but ultimately someone who makes a lot of mistakes and who gets his colleagues to cover up for them.
So, did you do many sterilisations in your previous post?
Good for you.
Good.
No, it's a lap and die. Gillian Campbell, G8889538274, laparoscopy and die.
You sure?
Yes.
Someone bring me the notes, please. Sterilisation. Lap and die for subfertility we saw on the ward round. Rob, you happy?
The list's wrong.
Okay, correct the theatre list, please. Okay, back to work, everyone. Music, please. I do beg your pardon, Maria.
Is that it? This patient's desperate to get pregnant. You came within a whisker of sterilising her.
We'll deal with it later. Anyone?
Mr. Lake, do you know who's responsible for this cock-up?
Sorry, first day.
Scalpel.
Shall I report this as a newness?
I just said we'll deal with this later.
And you realised as soon as he got into surgery that he had no idea what he was doing. He had no idea how to do it. He wasn't a very competent surgeon. Everybody else in the hospital knew it, but he was a good face for the hospital. So Max Beasley, as his junior, had to take on all his work. Then there was Keith Allen as Dr. Tony Whitman, who was just above Patrick Ballady and knew that Patrick Ballady's character, Roger, was this incompetent person, and so was always trying to undermine him. But all of the medical stuff was just done with so much, just so much
like
reality.
Research, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he worked.
Well, of course, he was a
doctor.
He was a doctor, Jed Mercurio.
Was he a doctor, or was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I
he
didn't
was
know
a
that.
doctor. And he'd done cardiac arrest prior to this, which I, to this day, have still never seen. But Bodies was the first thing I saw of his, and it's really brutal. It pulls no punches. It is.
He worked
really...
in the army, didn't he? It says here he was undergraduate at the University of Birmingham Medical School, enlisted in the Royal Air Force, and underwent pilot training with the intention of specialising in aviation medicine.
These aren't ordinary dramas. These are Luke's Desert Island dramas. You've been Roger's registrar for... how long is it now? Surely you must have cause for concern.
He's just delivered a healthy baby from a healthy mum.
He was appointed based on his research in ovarian disease. That and the funding that he brings to the hospital. He isn't experienced enough in general obstetric practice to hold the post of consultant in O&G.
You ever made a mistake? Ever killed someone?
I've been a doctor for 13 years. Of course I have.
Well, then, with all due respect, who are you to point the finger?
Every doctor makes mistakes. But everybody in this hospital knows that Roger makes mistakes again and again and again. Roger Hurley may be a good guy. He's just not that good a doctor.
The dramas that shaped us.
Apparently he wrote a novel first. It was based on a novel that he wrote.
Yeah. It was very dark, and I really wish you'd both seen this, because I think Gary particularly, if you love Critical, which was from Jed, but almost the antithesis of Bodies, I think there's some...
Well, I'd be honest, I don't think... Well, let's be honest, neither of you two gave Critical the time I did, so I think that's a little unfair, but I will concede that, you've talked more fondly about Bodies than I will about Critical.
It's the first medical drama that I thought feels like you're watching a documentary, because it wasn't all about this, she's losing blood, clear, stand back, clear. It wasn't all about all those medical drama cliches that you're familiar with. It was just very methodical, really well done. It's one that I don't think Matt thinks that fondly of. I don't think Gary would care that greatly of it, but it was the first time I'd sort of stepped out of my comfort zone with drama, in as much as I was watching people that weren't like me, and I know that sounds really demeaning to anyone, but I like to watch things.
So
about
you saw yourself in the cast of Cold Feet, yes?
Well, no, I saw people I knew in the cast. I could, people I knew in the cast of Cold Feet, but in the next one, it was like it was.
Oh, I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is.
Go on, tell me, because I want to know. It is. It's shameless, and on paper, I shouldn't have liked this. It was full of bad language, which I'm still adverse to in a drama. I don't think you need it. If you're writing well drawn out characters and things, they don't need to F and Jeff to get their point across.
Fiddlesticks, you hate that, don't you?
I hate fiddlesticks, yeah. And on paper, I shouldn't have liked this at all. It was full of sex scenes, and I remember thinking, oh my god, this 70-year-old woman will have just fast-forwarded a tiny bit and caught the end of this and gone, what the hell is he watching this for? When I talk about Shameless, I'm talking about what I call its glory years. So the first 5 series of Shameless, before it became sort of a parody of itself. Again, we're going back...
a bit like Teachers, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
you don't mean the American remake with William H. Macy then, Shame?
Which apparently is still going guns blazing, but I've never really been able to give it a proper go, because I can't disconnect it from our version, but I might do one day. Shameless was about a council estate, the Chatsworth estate. It was the first time I had seen people like James McAvoy and Anne-Marie Duff and Maxine Peake and Dean Lennox Kelly and David Threlfall and the young cast, who at the time I thought were brilliant. But it was autobiographical of Paul Abbott's home life. He grew up very, very poor, with a lot of siblings, raised by his elder sister after his dad was a bit of a layabout and a letdown. His mum disappeared when he was really young, and so he grew up on this council estate, sort of lawless, and there was elements of comedy there, there was drama. It felt very gritty but very real, but I found myself quite quickly identifying with the predicaments these people were in and actually caring about them. And when you mention Shameless to a lot of people, they will reference the Shannon Matthews case, which was a girl who was reported missing and then found in her aunt's house. But that idea for them to get a bit of press and hide the child away came from an episode of Shameless where Rebecca Ryan's character, young Debbie, found a young boy wandering around, of about 4 years old, wandering around, liked the look of him, took him home to play with and dress up and mess about with, and then all hell broke loose, saying this kid was missing, and they had to smuggle him back into the party. It was sort of done comedically, but the Shannon Matthews family since came out and said, well, we got the idea from Shameless, because they got a lot of recognition on the news and things, and they liked that idea of being in the spotlight for a bit.
He was just laughing with them and playing with them. couldn't see the faces. It's not fair.
Hey, what wasn't fair?
Everything.